Yeah, I'm gonna grab one of these flats real quick.
You do the umbrella technique?
What's the umbrella technique?
I push it down like an umbrella and then like I dip it, and then I'll show you.
Show me, yeah. What do we got? I do that. I just rip the one bone out. That way I can one-hand it.
I keep it with two. I know wings get messy, so I just push it all the way down like that. I dip it, and then one bite.
Huh. I haven't seen the umbrella. No, I'm the bone out man. I know your interest is in film. I saw your thing from the fair.
Yeah.
That was solid. Hey, where does that interest come from? Did you have a family member that was into it, or is that just something you developed?
So my cousin does a little bit of filmmaking. Like when I was younger, I was always like a little actor in her skits and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I just always enjoyed kind of doing that. And then later on, like in high school, I started like getting my hands more on like actual cameras and stuff. And I was like, this is it. Like, I really enjoy doing this. And now it's kind of like, I just like making videos that look really good.
Yeah. So you're more into like the cinematography side of it, would you say, than like the full scale directing? And, okay.
Directing sounds awesome, but I think the main thing I really like is like making things look good.
Okay. That's like what I struggle with the most. I think the cinematography part's the hardest though, but I think there's also so much to mess with. When you say, we can sit behind one of these lenses for an hour just to get a shot.
You start playing with it, yeah.
What equipment do you use? Like what's your current setup?
So I got a Blackmagic pocket camera, and then I use a Sigma 35mm lens.
Nice. There's gonna be some nerds out there that are like, I know what that means.
Yeah, I just carry that around with me. I got a little backpack that I bring around when I go filming.
Yeah. Is there a bucket list event that you'd love to go film? Like go create content around or make videos around?
I mean, what I've been just really working on lately, like each of my videos have been kind of like seasonal. So like I had a spring video, a summer video, and now I just did the fall video. I want to do something for winter, and my buddy just moved to Colorado. He's working at like ski lifts. So I was thinking I could go visit him, like actually like see snow for the first time and like record a video there for winter.
Well, you're from Key West.
Yeah, exactly, the island.
You guys don't get a lot of snow down there.
Yeah, no, not once.
If it starts snowing in Key West, I think we got much bigger problems than
Absolutely.
than maybe we've ever had before. To be real. No, you should, man. It's yeah, I remember the first time actually I moved to Washington DC after college, and third weekend I was there, we got a blizzard. And, I got to see snow. That was a fun one. 29 inches of snow. Didn't know you could measure snow in feet. So yeah, from Key West, you're an athlete through high school. You played 4 sports, right? You're a wrestler. I think also did you play lacrosse? So, and then you did some track and field. How'd you balance that? But when did it become clear that football was the one that you were going to take to the next level?
I always knew football was the one, that's for sure. But with that, like I only did lacrosse my freshman year. It was something that I did when I was a little younger, and I saw it as like a really good substitution for football because I could still do like that contact aspect of it. But then in high school, I started picking up wrestling for like the winter season. I kind of started falling in love with it, and I was like, I want to kind of take this serious, like maybe go to states or whatever and go on with that. So I started like worrying less about track and more about football and wrestling. And then with football, I was like, the best I could be is probably doing my off season with track. So I started doing a little bit more track because of football. Yeah. And then it kind of just picked up from there.
We talked about I was a wrestler, so I always love this talking point. Like how much did wrestling help you with the offensive line position?
Absolutely, it helped me a lot because I feel like everyone says the technique version of it and like footwork, which I can agree, but I think it's more of a mindset thing with like, you have to be gritty. Like with wrestling, it's a lot different from football to where it's like a one person thing. Like if I lose, it's completely on me. Like it's not a team sport where there's like 11 or 10 other people on the field. So it's like, if I get pinned, that's on me, that's my fault. And with wrestling, I kind of saw it as like, I'm a big guy and it's hard to move around for 3 rounds straight, 2-minute rounds, and then like be out of shape and like try to keep moving through it. So I was like, this is definitely gonna put me in some type of shape. And then when we had tour duty with football, I was like, this is probably the hardest workout I've ever done, but like mentally I was kind of used to it because of wrestling.
It's funny you talk about the mindset. One of my first memories of you, of meeting you, was I guess not this past summer, but the summer before, going into your freshman year. We had it was the whole O-line. We had that dinner at
Glory Days.
Yeah, Glory Days. And I remember y'all were talking about camp coming up, and you were like, I think I'm ready. You're like, it's gonna be hard, but I think I can handle it. And I think it was like Mo was there and JB, and they're laughing at you. And I just saw that look though. I was like, that's a wrestler's look. Like, and dude, here we are. Almost a year and a half later. You're up 30 pounds, right? You've reshaped your body, and you're coming off a year where full disclosure, we're filming this. We got 2 games left. You know, you've now played 194 snaps this year.
For real?
Yeah, 103 at left guard, 91 at right guard. Yeah, I got a cheat sheet, whatever. I got to write, numbers, keep them straight. And it's like you've done what you said you were going to do, right? You have that kind of mentality, that hardworking mentality. But just talking about the difference between, last year just getting, being the practice room guy to this year, it's like you're prepping for each game knowing, hey, I'm going to be expected to go out there and contribute. Like, how different does that feel week to week?
I feel like last year I took it really serious being on scout team, just with like going afterwards. Like after practice, I would go upstairs, watch the film, kind of like, I like to watch myself like practice so I can kind of grade myself on it. And with that, it was kind of similar to this year. So like not too much has changed besides my goals, I feel like, because last year I saw it as like, hey, I'm on scout team. My goal is to make my coach regret putting me on scout team. Like, why did we put him on scout team instead of someone else? And with that, I saw it as like, get as best as I can, develop as much as I can, get ready for spring, and get developed there too with Coach Atkins and Coach Fertitta and all them. And then this year it was like, my goal was like, hey, I want to kind of become like more of a rotational player, like kind of put my foot in the door. And then like about halfway through when I had to go against Clemson, I was like, wait, I actually have to start starting now, not just be a rotational guy. And from there, it's kind of like, now I can see that I can do this. I might not be ready completely, but like I'm able to achieve what I didn't think I could do. Yeah. And I was like, I just have to keep improving from now.
Absolutely. So is that an Andre Otto original, or did you steal that quote from somebody, like making the coach regret putting you on scout team?
I think that might have been my original thing, because I was like, my number one goal was last year. I was like, if I'm going to be on scout team, I'm going to have to try to make my coach regret putting me on scout team. Like, why didn't we put someone else on here?
It's like that's something you tell like scout teamers. You should start telling freshmen, be like, hey, that should be your goal. I love the way you put that. When you were in high school, you ran triple option. Just talk about what that transition's been like for you, and just again the things that people probably don't realize that you had to pick up when you first got to Florida State to be ready to play at the level you are now. I
really had my conversation, like I talked to my mom about this, because I didn't realize that like it'd basically be me like kind of doing like back to a kid again, like I had to like relearn football. And I was talking to my mom about it. It's like I kind of became obsessed with it again. Like I fell in love with the sport again, because it's like there's more levels that I didn't know I had to do. Because at first I was like, I'll come here and kick ass and then be great, but like I didn't know how technical it was actually going to be. So like with that, we were taught with the triple option to just put our hand in the grass, kind of like the same as a defensive stance, and just run over people. And that's what I did. And then I went to one of the camps here, and they looked at my stance and they like, no, you don't do that. And they kind of retaught my stance again. And I went back to high school and like did the same stuff over. And then I came here and I had to like completely change my stance, relearn everything. And like I played guard in my senior year, and like I've never really like done like a real tackle kick step. So like from there I was like, okay, now I have to learn this. So most of my time and effort at the beginning of like my freshman year was just learning how to pass set and like learning how to kick set and things like that. And I think it's really helped me overall, because like now I'm like way more comfortable with like my kick step, to where I can like go from left to right and like do things like that, because it's just something that I really prioritized and focused on.
I think it's interesting to hear you talk about falling in love with the game again, having something to work on. I think one guy that I remember talking to Fitzgerald last summer, and it was like, hey, how'd you go from having maybe a tough year, a couple years ago, to like kind of rebounding? And that was what he talked about. It was, he's like, I just fell in love with the process and the work, and that got to the result. So it's just interesting to hear a totally different position talk about finding a part of the process to fall in love with again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like video games though, where it's like, if you become really good at a video game, eventually you're gonna get bored with it. So like in high school, like I'm a senior, I'm at the top of my class or whatever, doing whatever, going against people and just killing it. And it's like, okay, I wasn't bored with the sport, but like when I go against other D1 athletes, it was like, okay, everyone's good here. Now I have to climb against them and get better against them, No
matter everything, you're bored with football, but I get it. When you're at the top of your game, it's like, well, what's that next challenge? What's the next mountain I'm trying to summit? What is something about like playing O-line that you wish the average fan understood, maybe to inform their takes that maybe sometimes they go to social media with or something like that?
It's a lot harder than it looks. I feel like with that, like especially with pass setting, like you're going backwards while you have another like 280 defensive lineman running towards you, and you have to be able to stop before getting towards the quarterback. I feel like that's a hard ask to do, but that's why getting good linemen is a hard thing to find, you know?
I'm glad you said that, because that was like, I think it was Meech maybe who told me that, you know, the simplest way to explain a line is like, you're going backwards, blocking for someone you can't see, while one of the best athletes on the planet is running forward, trying to tackle the same guy who he can't see. It's
Exactly.
like, okay, yeah, that sounds a little tough.
Yeah.
So when we think about like what's next for Andre Otto headed into next year, what are the main focuses, like things you're going to work on in your game that you're taking into this offseason for next year?
One thing I want to get more comfortable with is just kind of understanding not the play itself, but like the aspects behind the play. Like one thing that I talked to Meech about actually, because he works really well with it, is like understanding where the ball is going to be so he can predict what the defense is going to do. So like, for instance, like if we're doing inside run where the running back is going into the backside B gap, I'll block and I know that he's going to try to beat me for over top leverage. So I have to stay strong with my inside hand so he can't cross my face and then make the tackle essentially.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, versus if you're just thinking, hey, I have this gap responsibility, or I guess that you have a man responsibility, right? Then you're not reacting to him crossing your face until you see it happening.
Exactly.
And you're already beat if you're going against a guy like a Daryl Jackson.
Exactly. And then with that, I just want to become more of like a dominant player, be more like strong with everything to where it's like, when you go against me, it's more of like, will I like win or lose? Like, you know I'm going to make the block.
You want guys going against you being like, I'm just trying to not get completely demolished.
Exactly.
Because I know he's going to block me, and how do I just kind of compensate for that? All right, bro. Well, I really appreciate you sitting down with this, man. And yeah, I can't wait to watch it for years to come. It's going to be awesome. So thanks a lot, bro.
Absolutely.